Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're going to do an essay read aloud. And today we'll be reading my Common App essay as well as my Duke essays. So let's get started with Common App. And I'll begin. I juggle a tray of 4 steaming hot bowls of pho, briskly proceeding down aisle 4 towards a Vietnamese family of 4. The mom spots me arriving and gently reminds her kids to put their phones away, as mealtime is family time. Your orders are ready. Careful, they're piping hot. Enjoy your meal. I gingerly set down 4 hot and sour seafood soups, a perennial customer favorite. The door jingles open and brings in the bustling chime of a Saturday lunch. Sun gleaming through the windows and people beaming. It's a fresh day. I quickly dab away the shimmering beads of sweat across my forehead while taking a quick glance around the store. Sure enough, it's another full house. The Italian woman at table 23 works at an Irish pub next door. She's here for her usual, 4 fried rolls for here and to go. Table 5's 3 businessmen are here for the first time. Mouths watering after a long meeting, they eagerly wave me over. The Mexican student at table 17 is training to be an MMA fighter. Just 4 more months till his first match. Then there's a Vietnamese family of 4 at table 41. Their little one has slippery hands, so I'm always ready with a new pair of chopsticks for him. I attempt to repeat their orders in my broken Vietnamese between our bouts of chuckles and laughs. Though having 8 parties waiting in line while understaffed can stress me out, nothing beats the satisfaction after a busy day of making people smile. The responsibility of showing up to work, doing my best, and earning a paycheck has helped me mature. Work has given me an appreciation of diverse cultures, each a pearl in one scintillating necklace. Scintillating. Yes, I do use words that I don't know how to pronounce, which is half of my vocabulary because I have really bad pronunciation. Okay, scintillating necklace. Attending an 81% Asian school doesn't allow for maximum diversity, but encountering foreign words, traditions, and habits at work has enlarged my understanding of the world. Not only do I eagerly anticipate what stranger will seek my acquaintance today, I find myself taking the initiative to explore new things with a thirst for knowledge. One of the unexpected blessings of working at Pho Hoa and Jazz and Tea is being forced to disconnect from my phone and instead engage with those in my immediate presence. Working at a restaurant puts me up close and personal with a huge range of people, teaching me to value the power of direct, embodied communication that texting simply lacks. And though each culture is unique, communication is essential to all. Customers come here to smile with loved ones over a cozy meal. Those who twinkle the brightest have their glassy electronics that once dictated their lives tucked away. To me, serving is like a breath of fresh air. Having real face-to-face connections, giving myself up for others, and appreciating the sparkling present. This is what brings me back to serve week after week. By turning my focus away from myself and towards the happiness of others, I feel a rare, refreshing satisfaction that I'm unable to find anywhere else. These breaths have evolved the way I think and act, and fundamentally, the way I relate myself to others in society, with greater maturity, observance, and consideration of others. Sunlight seeps through the windows, reflects off the freshly wiped tables, and fills the store. The little one at table 41 looks up shyly at me. I greet him with a silly smile, grab a fresh pair of chopsticks, and head over once again. Okay, so that was my Common App essay. Thoughts? Honestly, coming back to read it after so many months, it's like completely new to me. Like, I haven't read this essay ever since I submitted my last application. If I were to write this essay again, no, I don't know. I don't know how to write this essay again. Honestly, it's been so long. I would just keep it the way it is. Yeah. So, now, let's move on to my Duke essays. And for Duke, they have 1 required prompt and 2 optionals. And the required one is 150 words. And this one is, please discuss why you consider Duke a good match for you. Is there something particular about Duke that attracts you? 150 words. Let's read it. And my essay was exactly 150 words. Okay, let's read it. When visiting Duke this summer, I was captivated by its intimate student community and serene environment. Affectionate undergraduates welcomed me with colorful stories of Duke's traditions, such as tenting during K-ville, and high praise of its flexible, individualized curriculum. Through my ongoing research internship at Dr. Jill Helm's Stanford Laboratory, I've developed a curiosity for the intercellular communications of stem cells. I hope to take advantage of Duke's leading research opportunities by aiding Professor David Sherwood in understanding the interactions between somatic cells and germ cells. I wish to help society prevent one pathway to cancer by studying this ancient signaling system and bridging its research applications to healthcare centers in Durham. From reading in Duke Gardens, to competing as a dancing devil, to settling down in my professional career at Research Triangle Park, I can wholeheartedly envision myself as a part of Duke and the larger Durham community. So that one was short and sweet, just about like why I wanted to go, and as you can see, I use a lot of different details about the actual school, so it shows that one, you're not just writing a general essay, but you're really like emotionally invested in the school, and just make sure like they can really see you at the campus. For the second one, this is optional and 250 words. I also wrote at the maximum 250 words, and here's the prompt. Duke University seeks a talented, engaged student body that embodies the wide range of human experience. We believe that the diversity of our students makes our community stronger. If you'd like to share a perspective you bring or experiences you've had to help us understand you better, perhaps related to a community you belong to, or your family or cultural background, we encourage you to do so. Real people are reading your application, and we want to do our best to understand and appreciate the real people applying to Duke. So my essay was about history, and basically how I used to be really scared of history, but then I identified this as like an obstacle in my education, and I decided to take a push, and how that class kind of changed me and broadened my understandings of the world. Let's read it. I've learned that exploring shouldn't be only interest-driven. It should also be knowledge-driven. That is, beyond the importance of finding unique aspects of ourselves, we must strive for a holistic, even transpersonal grasp on a full spectrum of disciplines as intellectually engaged adventurers. The subject of history, conspicuously, seemed like a major burden being placed upon me. I had other, more interesting and personal ways to unfold, and yet I undeniably admired my peers and teachers who made deft historical references and cracked political jokes. Identifying this as a major obstacle in my academic journey and social development, I resolved to take AP US History, ace it, consider it a done deal, and get on with my life. After 922 pages of Alan Brinkley's American History textbook, however, I'd been fortuitously infected with the history bug. I wanted more. Visiting Boston recently, for example, my mom was shocked at my uncharacteristic request to attend a walking tour in the city, an unconventional one exploring the smothered, dark side of Boston. History had come alive in me. History is a great revealer. As a Chinese American, I now know myself as a living embodiment of the rape of Nanking, foot binding, and the Immigration Act of 1965. Ultimately, understanding myself apart from the events that made me is impossible. Thus, to improve myself is a responsibility to my own humanity, and to humanity itself. Through AP US History, history has become for me the tangible, subcutaneous pulsation of life itself. Okay, so there you go, my second essay, and that was about history. And now let's read my third essay. This one was also 250 words, and I wrote 249 words, so cutting it kind of close. Let's read the prompt. Duke's commitment to diversity and inclusion includes gender identity and sexual orientation. If you would like to share with us more about either and have not done so elsewhere in the application, we invite you to do so here. So a reminder that the second and the third prompt were optional, but I did choose to write it. And for the third prompt, it asks about like gender identity, sexual orientation, and it just asks you to share about either. For me, I'm straight, and so I've never really thought that much about gender identity, I feel like, and sexual orientation. So this was quite like a refreshing prompt for me to even look at and consider. But yes, I did end up writing about it, and I actually wrote about a book that I read. And this was my first real introduction to gender identity and sexual orientation. So let's hear it. At times, I found myself treading carefully on a narrow isthmus, which between two vast bodies of water, the liberal and the conservative, each equally foreign. Recognizing the ideological divide on the issue of gender identity and sexual orientation, I chose Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides, a comic epic of Greek-American Cal Stephanides' sexual metamorphism, as my supplemental in AP Language. As avid readers, my mother and I often discussed novels. Thus, it was easy for me to bring up gender identity through Middlesex without pushing any panic buttons. Chinese culture is much more hesitant than Western culture to accept diversity in gender identity and sexual orientation, and tends to avoid the topic entirely. Surprisingly, though, my mother empathized with my contemplations. She's found her own healthy way to balance her personal conservative feelings and her co-workers' liberal views by simply listening quietly. I felt this delicate balance between cultures and generations myself as literature melded with life and interlaced our views. As Cal's journey is left incomplete, I too am unable to put down Middlesex. I feel an urge to lend a hand in ripening the isolated views of my community and family because of my generationally enhanced cultural awareness. We must be willing to understand the differences between these two seas by learning, by caring. For the first time, I see Eugenides as a silhouette beyond me at the edge of the isthmus, slowly but surely carving away at the land to unite these two oceans. And there you go. Those were my essays. Yeah, so I guess in this essay, if I'm looking at it, I used the imagery of water and an isthmus to kind of represent, I guess, the two sides that I've always seen on sexual orientation and gender identity, like the two different stances. I took a unique approach in this essay by looking at it through the lens of a novel, which I'm sure probably a lot of other applicants didn't do. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe this was something that helped me. I'm not sure. So these were the essays that got me into Duke. Thank you for watching. See you guys next time when I read my UC essays.